Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Monchkinz Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Monchkinz logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And in this video we're going to be talking about the Magic's CHASM Rising event. So this is the second event quest basically from the Rising event quest. Basically this will be the reversal of the Powers CHASM. Whereas in the Powers CHASM, the melee and range physical attacks are much more advantageous. In this particular mission or quest, basically the magic-based character have the advantage. So, just like in my previous video, I'm going to be talking about the general sort of advice that I would like to give you guys, and my overall thoughts of the fight. So without further ado, let's get on with the general advice. So just like I said previously, this fight is basically going to be the reverse of the Powers CHASM, basically bringing a magic based character, or basically all your three characters need to be magic based. I find that Papalymo and Vanille works really well in this particular fight. Vanille is needed because of her ability to dispel. On the last boss, dispel is very advantageous, and if you have Vanille's 35 CP weapon, it helps all the more. And of course, don't bring any of the melee or physical range characters because they're gonna be disadvantageous for you. And of course, your backup, bring a magic based character as well. In this fight, I just picked the first one I saw, but I actually was having a hard time in this fight because basically I managed to one-shot this fight previously, but for some reason I didn't record it, so I missed out on that, so I had to re-record it, and I failed multiple times. This is probably the hardest ones, one of the hardest ones out of the three, really. So again, bringing the boosted characters really helps in this fight. So you have your Vanille, Papalymo, and I believe Hope is one of the other magic based characters. But the third one can be really anyone. My thing is Vanille is probably the most important one here, and Papalymo as well, because of the amount of abilities uses you can use with Papalymo. And like I said, the dispel ability for Vanille here is very essential, because the land turtle does, he hides, he does retreat, and you can dispel that buff, and so you can hit him a little bit harder than you would when he has that retreat buff. So like I said, use your abilities as much as you can, because really you're gonna have a difficult time. This is probably the hardest out of the three event quest that you have to get the perfect to unlock the last one. This is the hardest one by far, and it's almost like downright cheating basically. So the missions that you have to do is basically no one dies. You have to beat this in 65 turns, which is crazy, and take like less than 4,000 damage. But in any case, those are the general advice. Let's go through the entire fight wave by wave. So let's start with wave 1, where you have to fight 2 heretic Thunderflans and 1 heretic Desert Sahagin. So in here, I straight up use my Astral Fire, which takes it down to about half HP. This spell is a great skill or a great ability if you have Vanille's 35 CP weapon. It just straight up does a ton of damage. My Vanille's weapon here, I think, would be at least had one limit break on it. I can't remember on top of my head, but this spell, man, is really great. The Protect is also a great skill. So the idea here is basically using as much of your abilities as possible. I feel like, if anything, this is the fight that you have to have a lot of abilities to work with, basically, because you have a limited amount of turns. 65 turns is not a lot, especially if you're trying to save your abilities. And for the most part, that is where I sort of fail, and that's where that's why I want to emphasize about using abilities. And like I said, normally I would just say, you know, use your abilities towards the end, but in this case, really try to push yourself to use your abilities. Wave 2 is pretty easy. There's just 2 Heretic Desert Sahagin. If you're actually bringing Cryle like I am, Thunder works great here because they are weak to Thunder and does a massive amount of damage. She also brings Ray of Light, which means you can get a lot of Brave. So basically, she's a very good Brave battery if you're looking for getting yourself into a position where you can use HP attacks quite a few times. And not only that, Ray of Light, Ray of Hope, I don't know what I was saying. Ray of Hope actually gives you a buff where you deal more damage if you are hitting their weaknesses. So the third wave is basically this Heretic Iron Giant, which I think for the most part is a little bit harder than the last boss, because this guy has a ton of HP. So using debuffs, Protect, and I believe Seymour can work well here as well, since he has a ton of debuffs that he can apply with Lance of Atrophy. Unfortunately, it does only have 4 uses as far as I can remember. So Dispel is the same way, so I do try not to use Dispel as much, but using Dispel would actually have made things easier for me to use it on the multiple mobs or monsters. Basically, wave 1, 2, and 4 is a good way to use your Dispel, and just save that last Dispel for the final boss. But anyway, this is like a rinse and repeat. So what we're gonna do is gonna go ahead and go to wave 4, because honestly, there's not much to look forward here, because it's just gonna be watch out for the leaping swing, basically. Wave 4 is basically where you fight a Heretic Desert Sahagin and 1 Heretic Thunderflan. Now this is it's gonna be the same thing. This is probably one of the easiest waves that you have to do, but this is where you're starting to run low on your abilities. So like I said earlier, this spell is actually a good skill to have here. Basically, it does a ton of damage for some reason in this fights, and I really like it. But again, we're just gonna skip through this and go to the last wave. Okay, so the last wave is basically a Heretic Land Turtle. So if you've watched my guide on one of the old videos, basically it was Ace's, I believe it was Ace's event quest where you have to find a land turtle, and the only thing you really need to think about here is basically the land turtle can stall you out. And as you guys can see, I'm at turn 48. This is actually a different fight from the video that I was showing you guys, because on that particular fight I lost my concentration and went out. I was called out and I lost my concentration. So I sort of just, I think I went over the turn there. I was like, oh, dang. But in this case, yeah. So things to watch out. When it's targeting itself, that's when it's about to use retreat. You can definitely use your summon straight away, or use your summon when you see that he's about to target himself. So this way you can extend your attacks, and this way you be able to hit it as hard as you can. Honestly speaking, I thought there was only 60 turns here, and I was just like, I'm going to give up here. But I found out that it was 65 turns later after I finished the fight. I was like, oh, so it was 65. So I did manage to do it. So just like I said, the spell works. A treat, save one at least, and you should be fine. So this is where I actually brought an extra vanille, as you guys can see on the previous video you're probably watching, that I had someone else there. So this was a replay, just like I told you guys. It was just like, I think I went over on that fight, and because I just didn't have the spell anymore. So anyway, it still managed to clear it, and the idea is still the same. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I'd like to hear from you guys. If you have other strategies, please leave them in the comment down below, or if there's anything that I miss, please let me know as well. Remember to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter. This is Monchkinz logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.